Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're going to continue on with my private press collection and hope you guys enjoyed the first part. It just seems like a topic no one has ever really talked about in one video as far as I know, but especially in the VC, doesn't seem to be a whole lot of people into this sort of scene. I mean, like I am, I guess, just obsessed with this kind of stuff, but definitely, there is a lot to check out, isn't there, from that last video. If you guys had any questions about what record I shared, let me know, because I kind of went through them fast, and some of the titles you didn't see, so apologize on that part. But I also forgot to mention, since we're talking about the whole private press realm, the whole wide world phenomenon that is private press, there comes a handful of, well, not even a handful, there's probably more bad records out there than good. It's also a key thing to keep in mind when you're talking about collecting these sort of records. So I do have a few bad records in the private press sort of material that I still have at my house, but I will get rid of some of these, and a couple I have on sale. But we're going to start out with some of the bad ones, some bad examples. And you oftentimes find a lot of like Christian records, like this one, Sunshine. It's this one called Love Grew. I found this one locally, and sometimes you have to look at the back covers. It kind of looks, maybe there could be something, looking at the instrumentation. There's a guitar, and they don't look too square, But, sometimes they don't always look too promising, but I always kind of go off based off the back cover as well. And this one's just pretty much dismal, sort of like Christian record. And this one's really bad. I was kind of hoping there was something out of this one. I found this in Texas. Shades of Vincent, Judy Lindsay, and Johnny Carroll. Looking at the back, it doesn't really indicate a whole lot, except maybe it's a little bit on the countryside, but this is like full-on 80s country rock, and this sucks. So, and then these are some that I picked up locally, and you never know sometimes, looking at the covers and the fact you never heard of them. And they look like young kids there on the back, but this is kind of like again, one of those school choir private records that you always see. So I'm going to ditch that one. As well as this one, I was kind of hoping there was something in this, and oftentimes they have pretty funny covers, makes them look real, it's real people making these homemade sort of records. I Saw a Man by Dan Shaw. This is one I found in Goodwill a long time ago, before I was even on, the whole vinyl community bandwagon. And I'm actually selling this one on Discogs, and it's the only copy I've seen for sale, so I put a good price tag on it. And seems fairly known to private collectors, but this is Manana. It's got the signatures on the bottom, and just kind of a plain blank sleeve with some writing on the back. This is basically kind of a funky mix of like Latin soul. Some people will probably like this, so I had this one up for sale, and I found that one in Goodwill years ago. This is one I found at the Salvation Army when I was digging one day, and I added this one on Discogs as well. Doesn't seem to be known at all, and this was actually a good, nice surprise. I'm probably going to keep this one. This is kind of it's a Christian record, but the harmonies and some of the music on here is pretty good for its kind. It's got kind of an underground appeal to it. Even though it's trying to be commercial, it's got this kind of low production sound to it. And this is Praise Him by The Lord's Own. This is a band based out of New Mexico. This is a local band for me, Clay County, or the album's called Clay County, and this is Kicklin and Johnson. I also have this one up for sale too. It's got some nice moments. It's kind of more in the country rock sort of vein, but also on the folk rock side. It's not too bad for the style. There are some highlight tracks. I think the last track was the highlight. This is an example of a record I saw. Was kind of wanted by some collectors, and I listened to this, and it's not very good. Scott Kunkel, Walk With Me a While. This is kind of a singer-songwriter. He's got a very bad crooner voice. Doesn't really match with the music. Some of the music's okay. And again, here's one of those generic sleeves that you always see. And I'm titling the series Enjoy the Experience. And the reason I call it that is because there's a book out there with this cover called Enjoy the Experience. And it basically walks you through a collection of like rare records such as this that you know, of that kind. Here's a local label for me, Renee Records. They're about an hour away from me, and I always see the records, but I didn't know what this was really. This is kind of like a lounge sort of record. I have this on sale as well. But there are some collectible records on Renee Records, which hopefully I run into one day. There's a singer-songwriter album, Graham James, What Is Me? It's kind of like this acid folk sort of record, and mostly the label is known for polka records. It's mostly known for polka music, so hearing that sort of thing is kind of unusual, so hopefully I run across it someday. And there's also a couple garage singles, which are really good on that label. This is one I found when I was in Minnesota last year, and this is Kathy, Nance, and Dory. This is a private record that really has no reputation at all, and I uploaded the whole album on YouTube. It's got some moments, you know, some people really will love this sort of material. It's kind of very minimal folk trio with a lot of vocals, and it's pretty out there, really. It's kind of what the private press is all about, you know, just taking you into these other worlds and stuff. So now we're going to get into a little more of the Psych stuff, more of the Psych private presses. This one is going to be one of the highlights of the video. If you're looking into what the whole private press sort of scene is all about, this is a definitive album, Cath 1 by Badge. And this came out in 1974. I like to describe this kind of music as like basement psych. It sounds like it was kind of recorded in this murky, really damp basement sort of production. It's a very, very unique sound quality, and the mixing job and the whole album ideas they come across, because once side one ends, they go, turn me around, you know, it's got those really creative elements thrown in as well. So, and this is kind of like a I would say heavy psych, but also got this kind of garage production sound to it, so killer stuff. This is a Rockadelic reissue. This is also a Rockadelic, I think it's the first issue, really. Dragonwick. This originally came out on a acetate, originally. So yeah, Rockadelic. This came out in 1990. Killer heavy psych. As far as Christian psych goes, this one's really good. As It Is, Help. It's got some progressive elements, heavy organ. Yeah, this one rocks. As far as private Christian records, George Brigman, Jungle Rot. This is one that you see quite a bit when we're talking about those obscurities, do-it-yourself records. This band based out of East Coast area, Cycle. This is killer. Great sound quality for a private record. It's on the Outsider label. This one gets pretty hyped, you know. I've never seen an original copy pop up, but you know, if they were to, I think it said, I read somewhere where the last one popped up was like $14,000. So this is Stonewall. This originally came out on Tiger Lily. Some of the finest, like hard rock. Yeah, pretty gritty. I think it was based in New York hard rock. Here's an original copy, Mike Walter, Mr. Pruitt's Apple Farm. This is a singer-songwriter. It's pretty good. I like it more than most people probably do, but yeah, singer-songwriter, kind of ritzy in some spots, but pretty nice. And then this one, here's another example of an album that goes for big money when you see the original copies. Damon, Song of a Gypsy. It's the Now Again reissue, and this is some phenomenal like gypsy psych. Apparently he played instruments alongside George Harrison one evening. It's pretty cool. I think this one's out of Malaysia. This is Truck, Surprise Surprise. This one could use more love. This is phenomenal. It's kind of like the Malaysian Badfinger. Some nice vocal harmonies. Really good. Come Home My Son, Mark Jord. Singer-songwriter. Really good. I think this one can pop up cheap if you wait long enough. Same goes for this one. Picked up on this recently. John Fisher, The Cold Cathedral. Nice vocal harmonies. Christian folk rock. Folk pop. Here's a local one I found not too far away. Sky Dancer, Alive. This is like a live album that was recorded in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is one that I don't listen to very often. It's pretty bizarre, really. Circuit Rider. It's kind of one of those biker private records that you hear about. It's kind of a odd mix of material, honestly. Don't know if I love it as much as other people, but I'll still keep it for a while. The Spiffies. Again, this is one that I found locally in my hometown, which is so strange. Garage group that released a cover album, basically. And they pressed, I think, 1,000 copies, maybe. Hot Off the Press, News. This is one of my better privates I own, as far as original copies. This is some great country rock from the East Coast, and they're actually Yale students that recorded this album. One of the finest psychedelic folk LPs, Brother and Sister duo. Brother and Sister by Chuck and Mary Perrin. Look into this one. Sacred Mushroom. This is kind of more blues rock than Psych, but it's got some nice moments for sure. So it's released on Parallax. It was a really small label. This one, as far as Christian records go, Christian hard rock, heavy psych. This one gets some big money as well. Hard rock, Earthen Vessel. It's on Gearson. Mystic Siva, another big money item. I don't remember where these guys are from, but nice private record. It's got a very, again, one of those low production charms to it. The mixing job isn't up to par with, records of that kind. This is like a interracial band, Eric. I think they're from Ohio. It's kind of a recent reissue as well. It's kind of a mixed bag, but I certainly like it. This is one that you see a lot. As far as like Light in the Attic reissues, people really talk about the track Baby. Dreamin' Wild, Donnie and Joe Emerson, based out of Washington. And this one's really good. It's kind of a blue-eyed soul record. Look into this one, the backstory. It's pretty interesting. There's a nice little short documentary on YouTube of how these guys' father built them his own studio, you know, out on this farm, and great story behind that one. I think somewhere on the East Coast, I think, The Rise of Flood, the band Flood. It's kind of a, it's not really heavy, but I mean, it's got some heavy moments, but it's kind of a straightforward hard rock sort of record. It's got some good moments on it. These guys played through, you know, Nebraska when they did their tours. They're kind of based in Nebraska and a little bit in Las Vegas area. I showed this not too long ago, the Lynx. Mr. Creepy Smile there. Once again, I did find one of their other records one other time in Goodwill before I even knew, you know, the rep behind this band, and I feel so bad for leaving it behind, but at least I got this one so far. It's a really strange lounge record, but worth checking out at the same time. This is one that I shared not too long ago as well. Boulder Dam Morning. This is one I'm kind of debating of getting rid of. I got this for sale on Discogs, so it's a Gearson copy. And I also saw Dan Dotson Loop showed this as well, but I don't know what it is about this record. It just, I played it a few times and didn't really stick around too long. Next one, this band was based out of Singapore, and it was a bunch of teenagers made this album. Crystal Knot, is that what it is? No, Crystal Lager, Terra Knot. This is a Outsider reissue. Kind of debating selling this one too. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I don't play it enough, and you know, maybe I'll find something better. It's a pretty good record though. It's got this kind of really kind of minimal, it's a hard one to describe. Check it out. Bosco. This is a reissue by Numero Group. It's kind of like a funk and soul, kind of psychedelic soul in a way. Pretty good. Kind of generic cover. And then these last few, I guess you can call them private records, since they are sort of, you know, limited edition, and, you know, basically made it with their own money, you know. So I thought I would share this. This is Derek Higgins, Sonospheres 2. Of course, he's a vinyl community member, one of the originals. Got that record, and then I got his other one here, Myths, Realities. So this is kind of a limited deal. And I have a newspaper article here that talks about him, our local paper. And then as far as new records go, this one's kind of limited now. It's pretty much out of print as far as the original. But one of the better neo-psych, psych folk albums out there, and that's Constantine, Day of Light. Just looking at the album cover, I mean, that's basically what you're going to get into, just a magical world of sounds. So check this one out. It's one of the best modern records of its kind, really, as far as new psychedelic records go. So that is all I have to share. Not too much more, but I want to talk a little bit more about them. And I would like to see some responses, you know, if possible. If anyone's interested, and I know it's kind of an effort to get, you know, kind of gather these records all together, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have. So take care, guys, and we shall see you later.